Alright, we're going to go out and do some testing and adjustments. So I've got everything left open for right at the moment. We're going to do some comparison videos with a stock Yeti, but this is where we're at so far. Let's go out and see what she does. Alright, we've got James. I want to do a full speed run on the crawl mode so they can see the difference. We're running similar batteries, similar motors. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. My full speed, his full speed. His full speed is a whole lot more. Took about 10 minutes of making some endpoint adjustments. Finally got everything to mesh in correctly, and it still took quite a while for it to actually want to go into gear. But it was just, I kept wiggling it back and forth and driving back and forth, and finally it just kind of clicked in, and everything's been working perfectly after I got the endpoints done and kind of let it break in a little bit.
Go back down there and come back.
So let's go do some rock crawling real quick. Alright, here's our rock crawling course, just a trial area. James, hit it. This is the stock axial Yeti. Those are new gears. He's got a little bit of popping. Still got some popping whenever you try to hit it full throttle. James, go up. Okay, go up and out. It's actually not quite as controllable either. It's either that or he just sucks as a driver. See, he just sucks as a driver. Alright, now we're going to run mine. We're going to click it into low gear. Very controllable. It puts good power where you want it. And it looks like I'm allowed a mistake as well. There we go. If you'll notice, we both just replaced our gears at the same time. The one with the low speed in it is actually popping and creaking a whole lot less on the exact same course. Literally the only difference is he's got his body on and I don't. From RPP Hobbies, and basically here's the parts. You've got your shift shaft, new upper and lower gears, you get your shift forks. This is to hold your servo in this little box here. These are your bearings for the shaft, for the transmission. And just assorted nuts and bolts. Actually, it's just screws and E-clips. On a little side thing, I'm sure this will strike up some conversation in the comments. Has anybody had some serious overheating issues with their motor and ESC? Mine actually caught on fire. Axial was good and replaced it and sent me a new one. It did, however, take 2 weeks. That was kind of a pain. So I went ahead and put a fan on there from Castle, and I put a fan on my motor. And to help with some of the overheating, I actually put a heat sink motor mount in there. so the bearing is installed. Slide that out of the way, push your rear drive shaft back, slide your front out of the way, and simply pull it out. Alright, set that off to the side for just a second. We are officially done with the car. I'm probably going to come back to this in just a second and do my rear drive shaft. As long as I've got the transmission out, it does make it a little bit easier. And then we're going to go ahead and start pulling this apart. And it's just as simple as you've got 2 screws there, 2 screws there, 1 screw on the bottom. To take the slipper clutch and stuff off first. We'll go ahead and do that now. And that's what the stock one looks like. We're going to be replacing this, the gears, this, and running in the shaft right there. You won't be needing any of that stuff. And we'll need the E-clip out of this bag. First step, take the shift fork, put it onto the shift shaft. There's 2 holes. It goes in the top one. It's the only one that it actually feels solid in. Go ahead and stick that together. Just like that. To remove the bearings off the input shaft, that's the 2 with the actual holes in it. Those 2 look like they're going to be easy. Okay. Alright, next step is we set that aside and we grab the 2 gears. And they give you the supplied bearings to put inside the gears. You've got 1 large and 3 small ones. The big one is a 5 by 11 by 4 millimeter, and the 3 small ones are 5 by 10 by 4 millimeter. And it looks like the 5 by 11 goes in right there, and the other 3 little ones simply fill up the gears. You put those just like that, and we're ready for the next step. Alright, next, the lower shaft. Goes like that. Put your slider on there. Then the other one. That's what you'll end up with. Just to give you an idea of what it's going to be doing. Alright, you got 2 little black washers, metal washers, go on either side after your bearing. Alright, so I started off, the online instructions from the manufacturer actually say to remove that bearing. I have found that it actually works, and you're supposed to install it on the shaft. I've actually found it works a lot better just to leave it in the case. Okay, so I've got the bearings reinstalled. I'm going to take the slide shaft. It's going to sit just like that. And we're going to take the top shaft, slide it in like so. Okay, so we're already actually back together. But one thing, the online instructions from the manufacturer, it actually suggests that you put the grease, extra grease inside there. And they tell you that at the very bottom of the installation page. So I'm going to add this in now. So if this looks a little more assembled than it did just a second ago, or whatever part of the video we're at, put grease inside here. So you ain't got to take it all the way back freaking apart. There you go. And as you can see, that would be low gear. And that would be high gear. And just as a note to myself, when I'm done with this and trying to adjust it all, forward is low, to the back is going to be high. Alright, let me get this all back together. We'll work on the servo. Alright, next we throw on the transfer case. There we go. Next we throw together the slipper clutch. There we go. It's ready to throw back in the car. Next, we're going to work on the installation of the servo. Alright, got the car back on the bench here. And I've noticed they actually did a nice little, they've got a little place to route your wire from your servo. So we're going to go ahead and take that out. And you've got another little one right over here. Set those off to the side for just a second. Then you've got these two little guys. After your servo goes in, this one gets, actually, that one goes right there using the supplied screws, and this one gets tucked up and under right there. We can actually go ahead and put that one in now. Now we're going to go ahead and install the servo. Actually, no, we can go ahead and install this one. I'm just gonna, you can either take this whole piece off right here, or you can kind of just lift it up. Force it up under there like that. Force is such a strong word, or to persuade, I think. There we go. I'm going to be using Savox. I may actually switch this out to a waterproof one later, but this is what I had laying around. It is metal gear. They do suggest using a servo saver on this, just probably just in case you can't get your trim's just right on your radio. You don't want to go stripping out a gear. Had a problem like that on my 5T. Bought a really high-end expensive servo, and somehow my adjustments got changed and stripped out that servo even just from sitting still. Alright, we're going to open up the receiver box here. Take out the supposedly gasket, and because it's not so waterproof, an old school trick is I actually tie a balloon around mine. It does help a lot when you're using your Yeti for a submarine. If you'd like to see how that looks, go check out one of my other videos. Kind of got my brother to see just what happened if you submerged it in water completely. We found out they don't float. As you probably already really should know at this point, you need a third channel. We're going to use auxiliary 1. I'm going to go ahead and get the wires routed into there, and alright, so we got the receiver all put back together, back in its little protective balloon, and now we're going to put this little one on to help hold down that wire. There we go, and we are essentially ready to throw the transmission back in. However, before I do that, I'm going to replace this servo, go ahead and throw my new rear axle back in. And I'll probably do the gears and stuff later, just for the sake of the video we can get that part done. So I will be back to you just as soon as I get the axle and the servo replaced, which I should have left the receiver open for. Alright, got all the electronics buttoned up, and that's where the little ball, the first ball, comes into play. Take this, we're going to get a little screw and put that on there to hold our linkage. I had to find my own screw for this part. I screw that into there. Yeah. I'm not liking how that slides back and forth. It seems to catch unless you're... I don't know. Maybe that's why you need the servo saver. You kind of...
Gotta hold pressure on it.
Yeah, well, it drops into gear or something. But alright, so I made one little mistake. That little guy right there, I had it put on with the rounded edge going out, and this shaft going in the squared bottom. That shaft actually gets threaded in to the rounded part, and then your screw goes into the top. Otherwise, it hits your battery tray. So this will look a little out of order. You'll see a couple shots where it's the other way. That's because I had to go back and redo it, but now it shifts backwards and forwards the whole way. It still seems kind of hard to shift, so I don't know. Again, we'll look at that at the review, but I hope this is something I'm happy with. Alright, I'm going to be using a Traxxas servo saver. Let's go ahead and get this reinstalled. I've already done my drive shaft, but as long as I'm redoing my rear gears after this, I'm going to go ahead and throw all this back together. Alright, got that all buttoned up. We're going to go ahead and throw the engine back in there and then work on the drive shaft, and then actually probably work on that first. Alright, looking good so far.